Hello, I'm Paul Gorman. I'm Global Grants Chair for District 5810. By now, you're aware of global grants that have been done or they're in progress within the district, and you're probably aware of the good things that these grants do in the world. You're probably aware of the opportunity that Global Grants offers your club to collaborate and work with other clubs across the globe. But only a few clubs in our district participate in global grants. Did you know that? Many people think that global grants are just too hard and they're intimidated by them and a grant process. My job as Global Grants Chair is to make sure that the whole process is easier so that your club and our district can do more good in the world. Now, currently, our district has available about $77,000 available to your club and other clubs in the district as district designated funds, DDF. Your club can access some or some portion of that money to multiply your club contributions. And with your club cash and with the World Fund matching grant funds, the $77,000 is multiplied to about $215,000. That's a whole lot of good. So today I'll walk you through global grants and we'll talk about what they are, how to develop one, how you can participate in grants even if you don't lead or manage one. That'll be something new. You can get off easy. How to make your grant request better and what resources are available to you. And once you're somewhat familiar with the process and resources available, you really will find that it's pretty easy. Okay, so let's jump in. First of all, global grants are awarded by the Rotary Foundation. They're larger and they're sustainable projects, grants typically involving funds over $30,000. It requires an international partnership. You have to have an international club and a host club. Now, a lot of people think that the international partner has to be inside the U.S. and the host club outside of the U.S., but it doesn't matter. I can give you examples where we've done large global grants right here in the U.S. The Navajo Water Project is one of them. And so we can, in that case, it just turns around. We have the host club being here in the U.S. and the international club outside of the U.S. What makes us so powerful is that there's a World Fund match, and that's where our $77,000 can be grown to some $215,000 in that ballpark, for example. There are specific areas of focus. It requires active Rotarian participation. You have to be very careful and have measurable outcomes, and we'll go through a little bit of that in a few minutes. It also strengthens the local knowledge, skills, and capacities of the grant recipients. Now, there are three project types. There are humanitarian projects, there are vocational training teams, and there are scholarships, postgraduate. And in fact, our district has participated in one scholarship, a young lady by the name of Karen Tsai, who I think is at Oxford, started this year. The 7 areas of focus are peace and conflict prevention and resolution, disease prevention and treatment, water and sanitation, maternal and child health, basic education and literacy, economic and community development, and effective this past July, a new one for the environment. Applications for Rotary grants are submitted online, and here's the web address where you can do that. It's at www.rotary.org/grants. There's no application deadline for humanitarian projects or vocational training. And the applications, if you're going to involve travel, then you need to be aware of that and submit your application, make sure that that's lined up at least 90 days to get this thing turned around. There is a deadline for scholarship applications, and that's at the end of June. This is a big one. There are lots of resources. I promise to make this whole process easy And these resources will help to do that. They're shown here on this slide. You go to the rotary.org, myrotary/grants. There's a guide. It'll help you to glide right through the guide for the global grants. There's online application process aid that's there to help you. There's a whole learning center on the internet, and there's a Rotary support center. And there's even a grant staff to help guide you through the process and make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Or in some cases, the T's are dotted and I's crossed. Doesn't matter. Okay, but here are a couple of things that you probably don't know about. First of all, and I'm going to get into this a little bit later, but you do not have to, as a club, put together, lead, and go through all the administrative paperwork and documentation and reporting for a global grant. You can hitch your wagon to another grant that's already in process. And to do that, all you need to do is find another club in the district, partner with them. Or you could go to www.matchinggrants.org. By going to this website, this is a website that's actually developed by another district, but there you'll find hundreds of matching grants that are there and available, and they're looking for partners like you. Finally, there's me. Here's my email address, pgorman92131@gmail.com, and my phone number. I'm going to say it really fast. Hopefully you won't remember this too much, because otherwise I get calls in the dead of night. But I'm at 858-204-9547. My job is to make your job with a global grant easy. That's the basis for the global grants and really what you need to know. But there are a lot of ways to make your global grant application better. This is a sales document. There's no doubt about it. So in order to do that, what you're doing is putting together a document that answers questions before they're asked, so that the Rotary Foundation staff doesn't have to come back to you and ask for a lot more information that you have to go back and research and dig up and so forth. Let's make it easy. Let's answer the questions before they're even asked, so we can help to do that. The first thing is to do a needs assessment of the community. You must have community involvement. Conduct a thorough assessment of the community needs and strengths. Talk to them, people in the community directly, and make sure that you understand exactly how they see this project, what their needs are, and how you can meet them. The areas of focus need to be paid attention to, and don't say that you're going to do water and sanitation and child and maternal health and environment and so forth. No, don't do that. Do a focus. Pick out one particular area that's of particular focus in its needs, and do that. Sure, it may spill over into other areas that Rotary likes to focus on as well, but those are corollary. Pick out the biggest one and focus on that. Design your project based on identified areas of that focus. So you're really focused in on that, and ensure that all project activities relate to the area of the focus, the goals. Number 3, a detailed project plan. Work with the host company or host country and your host partner, other Rotary clubs, and develop a detailed project implementation plan that involves the beneficiaries in the product, product design. Don't assume that you know best what's best for them. They know what's best, and they'll tell you. Provide a detailed list of tasks for the host and the international Rotarians. Kind of spell out who's doing what to whom. Develop a very detailed budget and include in that budget the vendor information. Explain how the vendors are selected. And then clearly explain, this is a big one, sustainability. You don't want to install a new water system in some country on the other side of the globe, and a year from now, they can't maintain it. How are you going to sustain this thing ad infinitum, to infinity and beyond, to make sure that this thing meets their needs, not only today and tomorrow, but forever and ever? Sustainability can get into quite a lot of details that we don't need to go into right now, but there's documentation that will allow you to research that and understand what they mean by sustainability. Training. Training is important in a project from the beginning to the end. And don't forget about that. Don't say, well, we don't need a training. It's so simple that anybody can do it. That's not necessarily true. In the training include detailed information for all the opportunities that you can imagine. Look at the frequency, the curricula, target audience, etc. And don't forget to train the trainer. I know that we have a couple of projects ongoing right now. One is with the kidney dialysis, another one with prosthetics. And those are pretty high tech. They're going to require ongoing training as well as sustainability. Very important. You're allowed to work with outside organizations, other hospitals, and so forth. One of our clubs phoned me a few months ago and wanted to do a project and had no idea that they could actually come up with and purchase ambulances or vehicles to service the needs of that population. You can. You can also have other organizations such as hospitals to maintain the kidney dialysis units from the moment that they're installed and forward. Make sure that you have a memorandum of understanding. I treat it like a business. And so you have a clear understanding of how these units or the equipment is being maintained or organized going forward. Finally, measurement and evaluation. There are requirements for periodic reporting as you go through and deliver on a grant and implement it. And there's specific information that needs to be included in the reports relative to how are you going to measure success? What's it look like? How are you going to measure it? How are you going to evaluate it? And that's going to need to be reported because Rotary International wants to make sure that the money that they're spending is well spent, well managed. Complete the entire application. You don't want to put it in partially, and because all that will do is it'll sit there and it'll come right back to you, and you'll end up having to do some more work that you don't necessarily want to do. As I mentioned, the reporting, now the Rotary International does require a progress report every 12 months or earlier, and there needs to be a final report at the end of that. That's 2 months after 2 months of completion. You need to be able to report on the objectives, the areas of focus, participants, and budgets. So those are some of the things that go into putting together a successful project, getting it through Rotary International with its approval, multiply the dollars that your club has to put into these projects, and come out at the very end with a successful and sustainable long-term project that you can be proud of and do some more good in the world. I'll be happy to answer any questions. You have my information. I'm Paul Gorman, Global Grants Chair. My telephone number is there again. Just don't call me in the middle of the night. And my email, it's actually different. I have a couple of different emails depending upon my mood of the day, but here's yet another one. Feel free to use any one that you like because they all come to the same place. Thank you for your attention and good luck with your project.